Mr. Brown, I felt I must just report that I'm here so that when you do a roll call, you don't forget me by mistake. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good
hey.
morning.
Yeah, this is what we do when we are early for the first time, you know.
Hi, you are early, Debs.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to all colleagues. Hey, ngiyamuzwa ukuvutha amalangabi umntana kaprincipal.
Werane, kunjani mamfundisi?
Ngamusa kaNkulunkulu, I'm well, Chair, and greetings to your good self and all colleagues.
Greetings, yeah. The child of the principal is here before the father.
Oh.
The father is also a pastor. You heard him just
The
unleashing verses.
protected one. The protected child.
The son is also the pastor in the making. So
So I think he's still preaching and praying for people, the father. We'll pray for the son also to make it right as a pastor in the making.
But why is Little lying so early in the morning, Banda?
At least
Bafuza, you are early for the first time this year. You are now coming and so the first thing you utter when you are early is that I'm lying.
It's really for the first time, Shem. I agree with you.
Conspiracy, you are conspiring against me.
Mapholoba, sawubona.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members of the committee. Chair, we have a quorum. I will hand over to you directly. Thank you.
Can you help us with the roll call, Lily?
Yes, Chair, I can do that. It's yourself, Honorable Mbinka Vigaba. I have Honorable Aduans, Honorable Morwane, Honorable Letsie, Honorable Yabo, Honorable Madlingozi, Honorable Ngobo, and Honorable Boshoff. Honorable Morwatsetla indicated he will be a bit late because I think he's on a flight currently. And then I also have an apology for Deputy Minister's office. The Deputy Minister is currently in KZN with departmental work. Thank you, Chairperson.
Mr. Brown. Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Sorry, Honorable Mashabela, I have you as...
No, but we don't have Tito here. What is this thing now? Please, can you correct your gadget?
I will change the name.
No, Chair, please.
No,
my
what
gadget is not working, but I'm still explaining. I'm explaining. But you just tell me that. I want to explain the reason why I'm using Tito's phone. Mine is just lambasted now here. It fell now. It's not working.
Parliament
but you must wait for me to explain.
No, Parliament gave you
I don't have anything, I must not attend. I requested this iPhone.
Dr. Mashabela, change the name on the... Yeah, you see, it's fine now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
can't
much.
just make noise for me.
No, but you can't want to be recognized as Tito as well.
I'm just explaining.
It's fine now. We've passed that. Let's proceed with the meeting. And
Yeah,
thank you
but
very
you,
much
you
for
must
attending.
learn to listen to other members.
You must also learn to be proper.
Icona
You
fighter.
must learn to
Icona
listen.
fighter.
He
Come
must
on.
not think he will come and
We
fight us.
can't just fight
There's
so
no
early in the
Tito in this
morning.
committee.
No,
Finish and
let's
clear.
fight in the afternoon. We can't fight in
There's
the
no
morning,
Tito
fighter.
here.
Yeah.
Who
No,
is
let's fight
fighting?
in the
Who is
afternoon.
fighter here?
There's no
Who is
Tito
fighter here? Who is fighter here?
Recording in
Can we
progress.
start the meeting? Thank you very much, honorable members. And let's welcome everybody that is in the meeting. We were supposed, according to program, to meet last week, but we couldn't because all of us, we know we were attending the SONA's debate, which probably is the reason people are fighting in the morning. They did not attend. But we had a very peaceful SONA last week. So which means we are a week behind of schedule. For this quarter, we are going to find ways to make up as and when we see that there is a slot. Parliament is busy. Very, very busy because we are rushing to finish before we rise. As we all understand, this is the last quarter of the 6th administration. Also that we will be working. Members, the agenda for today, we are going to have a strat plan of our committee as revised from April 2022, which means it's a strat plan for 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, which includes also the annual report. And then we are supposed also to consider and adopt the minutes of, in fact, we've got a committee report on the petition to the eradication of Latrines that we are supposed to adopt. Then we've got minutes. Is it only one report? Is there no annual report, Llewellyn? And then we've got,
yes, Chair.
okay, we've got annual report. I mean the minutes. Okay, the minutes is of the 14th and of the 6th of February. Sorry, my mistake. And on that note, because of we know the circumstances that we normally get to, which makes us not to adopt these reports when the meeting is towards the end, I am humbly requesting the members that we start with the adoption of these reports and this meeting before we go to the strat plan, so that we know they are off our back. So I am asking the meeting if it allows that we start with the adoption of these reports. I see Honorable Litsie and his father.
Let the father speak first. Chairperson, I rise here to support the proposal that indeed let's start with the adoptions for a number of reasons. One of which is we have been postponing this far too long. The sooner we start with it and adopt the report and the minutes, the better. I so second. Thank you.
From the Son and the Holy Spirit.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning to you. Good morning to the members. Good morning to the department leadership, from the ministry to the DG and his team and everybody on the platform. Chair, with those amendments, I want to second the adoption of the agenda with the changes that have been mentioned and proposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Siyabonga.
Chair, I had raised my hand.
Oh, Mapoloba, welcome and compliments.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, thank you very much. Good morning to the Chairperson and good morning to the members, and good morning to the Minister and the officials of the department under the leadership of the PG. Chairperson, no, I just wanted to call for order. We don't have a person called the father in this portfolio committee.
Called who, Mapaloba?
The father.
Oh, you are correcting me.
No.
Thank you so much.
Mapaloba, what is your problem? If you don't have a son, then
Congratulations
you
on
better
winning
go
the by-election last week. Oh, where is that Kopongola? Congratulations.
No, it's everything. We are taking everything. But thank you very much, Chairperson. I have recognized the name. No, we are in a winning spree, Chair.
Thank you so much.
Correction, Chair.
Yes.
No, I want to correct Mapoloba. They lost the by-election in Newcastle where the NC won by 83%. So everything is exaggerated. Thank you.
And they are winning with a reduced majority, by the way. Thank you so
Chairperson,
much.
should we be speaking about that now?
Can we start SG, please?
But we are in a committee here. So
yes,
why don't we continue with the work of the day? So now we are talking about by-elections.
Which you lost at 2%.
So we have a lot of things to do. Let's continue with the
thank
meeting.
You very
we have
much.
A lot of
we are now doing the report of our committee, which concerns the petition, which we had received from Ngubu Change Leader, calling for the Department of Basic Education, the national government, to eradicate pit latrines in the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and Limpopo rural schools. It was referred by the Speaker to our committee on the 25th of July for consideration. So we had then this meeting. I think members would would remember where we had the petitioners. It was on the 7th of November 2023. They were in the meeting. We had an address which was done by the Deputy Minister, Dr. Mhaule. And our petitioners were, like I've said, the Nguvu Change Leader. And in the meeting, we had DBE, we had KZN, we had Limpopo and Eastern Cape. So at 2E2 is the submissions, which were done by Yongama, Sikebe. And I'm not going to take members through that because I take it that we have went through. And then after they had made their presentation as the petitioners, we then had a presentation on the progress on the update of the ASIDI and SAFE, which we received from the Department of Basic Education. And then we had our own committee observations and questions. And then there were responses to the committee, which were led by the Deputy Minister. And the Eastern Cape also responded, the department. KZN. And of course, we allowed the petitioners also to speak where they were requesting some clarities. And then on the recommendation, what we have recommended to the department in collaboration with KZN, Eastern Cape, Limpopo Department of Education, that they need to continue engagement and communication with Ngovu Change Leader on the status of progress with the eradication of pit latrines with verifiable figures and data. They must submit a detailed report on timelines and dates for completion and finalization of pit latrines eradication in the relevant provincial education departments 60 days after the adoption of this report. And they must ensure that alternative solutions for ablution facilities are explored and implemented for schools with water scarcity, ensure proper advocacy of alternative solutions with affected community for buy-in. Where new ablution facilities are completed, they must ensure these are immediately available for use. They must engage with school principals to impress upon them about the danger of pit latrines not being demolished after new ablution facilities are constructed. They must ensure the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education is furnished with details of ongoing developments and progress reports submitted to the committee secretariat for sharing with petitioners. They must ensure PEDs are actively and regularly monitored on developments and progress with the eradication of pit latrines programs and projects. They must ensure that PEDs are able to respond timeously to the general public or citizens of South Africa on matter to be dealt with at a provincial level and not have such matters having to be elevated to national parliament to address. And then, of course, we've made our words of appreciation to the petitioners and also the department together with the provincial departments. So that is the report on the pit latrines. Any corrections? The absence of corrections, can we adopt this report? Can we adopt the report, honorable members? Aibo, am I still in the meeting, Llewellyn? Can I be heard?
Chairperson is Desiree. I propose adoption.
Yo, thank you very much. Yebo?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to everyone on the platform. I would like to second the adoption of the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we move to the second report. Ikhaindon ngokusajongana nawe Zonti.
Chairperson,
Now-
the report is on the screen. Thank you.
Now, this is the annual report on the activities of the committee. From January 2023 to December 2023. And then we have an overview by myself. Then we've got key highlights, which are on the legislative aspect, which are on the public participation, which are on oversight and accountability. Let's move, Llewellyn, let's move. Which are on cooperative governance, and intergovernment report. This report, sorry, Liwen, this report is not supposed to be done by Sis Posh.
Chairperson, yes, the report is both done by myself and Sis Posh. If there's anything, you are welcome to just check with both of us.
Okay, members
Thank you.
will just speak on it. Okay,
Thank
and then that's the membership of the committee. That is for last year. We had Suela, who of course resigned, and then we then appointed Madlingozi last year, and then Tembekoye was also removed. As of the rest is still the same. Then we've got a mandate and the strategic priorities of the committee, which of course are bulleted there. And then there was a referral of bills, which was executed, the Basic Education Laws Amendment, where it was stipulated, referred on 2021. We are referring on the public participations and the process thereof. And then on oversight trips, these were oversights that had taken place and their cost. So these are the okay, and then we held about 35 meetings last year, and they are also mentioned per meeting, and the dates and so on, and the subjects. We did not cancel any meeting. And then on public hearings, those are the public hearings that we held starting from the 23rd of February. And then the reports that were considered. We have considered 32 reports. And then this also includes the work that we have done with the entities, as members would have noticed. Now, the papers that were referred to the committee for information. Now, why are you going up now. We did not have any papers that were referred to us. And then this is our support staff, the support that we had for last year annual report. We had the unit manager, Mr. Bandi, content advisor, Mrs. Bosch, committee secretary, Mr. Brown, the researcher, Mr. Kekana, executive secretary, Rowena Norris, and committee assistant as Mkosana. We had also who's the Unlepsi? We had Lepsi till sometime last year, Llewellyn. Maybe you must just put a stroke. And then our media liaison officer, Miss Raja Azakani. That's it. That is the annual report. Any corrections? In the absence of corrections, can we adopt the annual report 2023? Principal?
My chair, thank you, and thank you very much. I rise to move that this annual report be adopted as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Itzia.
The son greatly supports the father.
You
On the adoption.
recommended by Mapoloba. Okay,
No,
it's fine.
Mapoloba is bleeding.
Mapoloba is out of the picture. If he needs a son, let him go and make his own one. Full stop.
Not that is available.
Thank you very much for adopting the annual report. Now we are dealing with the minutes of 14th of November last year, where we had a report which we have received from a Chapter 9 institution, the Commission for Gender Equality, on the learner pregnancy policy, interplay, school dropout of adolescent girl during pregnancy, and in the postpartum period in the selected South African 2023. It was referred on the 19th of June to us, and it was ATC'd on the 19th of June. We have attendance on page 1 of the members that were part of the meeting. And then apologies, Weyabo in Mashabela, and then we've got delegation from the department. And then that delegation from the Center for Gender Equality. And then our support staff. We had opened the meeting and welcomed everybody. We received an address from the Deputy Minister, Dr. Mhaule. And we also had a presentation from on the learner pregnancy policy interplay, which was done by the Commissioner, on the Commissioner for Gender Equality. You'd remember that woman. And then there was a response from the department. We had our own committee observations and questions. And then there was responses which was given by Commissioner. And also the department led by the DM. And then we have considered and adopted the budget review report and also the minutes of the 31st of October and the minutes of 7th of November, and then the meeting adjourned at 1:08. Any corrections? In the absence of corrections, can we adopt the minutes? Honorable Itia,
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Honorable Muratel.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The sun goes first this time. I would like to note the report as a true reflection and move for the adoption as it is.
Honorable Muratel.
Highly seconded, Honorable Chair, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Father, son.
Next minutes. Next minutes, it's the briefing that we had on the 6th of February from the department and Umalusi on the National Senior Certificate. Page 1 is the attendance. And page 2 is the attendance of the department and Umalusi. And our staff, and then we have opened the meeting. We have welcomed everybody. And then we had an address which was done by the minister. And also we had an address which was done by the deputy chair of Umalusi. And DB also presented, the presentation was done by Dr. Polia. And then the presentation was done by Dr. Rakometi from Umalusi. And these were our observations and questions to both the department and Umalusi. And then we had responses which were led by the minister. Director General. Dr. Mtembu, Dr. Polia, Dr. Spelane, and also Umalusi responded. Then we concluded the meeting. Then we have considered the Portfolio Committee Term 1 program. And then we had agreed to postpone all the other reports, which are the ones now we are adopting now. And the meeting had adjourned at 13:32. Any corrections? Can we adopt the minutes? Matlanatso's iPhone.
Sorry, Chair. It's myself, Moruan. It's just that my other gadget is failing me, and I want to surely adopt this minutes as the true reflection of the Portfolio Committee meeting that we held on the 6th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Adwans.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning to the staff. Good morning to everyone. I move to second the adoption, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, members, for understanding that we needed to quickly adopt all this work that we have done. Now, can I hand over to you, Sposh, to do the strat plan? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Brown, may I share the screen, please?
Thank you, Portia. You are able to. Can you do it from your side? The share screen is available. Or should I put it on?
Warmest greetings, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education. I greet everyone on the platform, especially the Department of Basic Education as our critical stakeholders. Also, I recognize the DG, leading the team, the DDGs, the chief directors, the directors and staff, our own colleagues at Parliament, parliamentary staff, supporting the committee, stakeholders, PMG, etc. I greet you all. This morning, as a secretariat tasked with the responsibility of reflecting back to the members the strategic plan of the committee, which was presented some time ago on the 19th April 2022, we were then tasked to look into it so that it can be reflective of a state plan of 2019 up to 2024, including the annual performance plan, 2022-23 financial year, as well as the annual performance plan of 2023 to 24. The content of the presentation highlights the mandate of Parliament, the vision of Parliament, the strategic outcomes, the mandate of the committee, sector-specific priorities, budget scrutiny, which is work done by the committee as well, the meetings of the committee, the monitoring and oversight responsibilities which were taken by the committee in reflection of 2021-22, the committee priority areas for 2019-20 up to 23-24, an overview of 2022-23, in particular the Department of Basic Education's MTEF, the key oversight priority areas for 2022-23, what is envisioned for 2023-24. The report then ends off by looking at the overview of the work which was undertaken as a summary, including the aspects of the public participation, the study tours, the intergovernmental relations and legislation, and also then outlines what needs to be done for the following year. The following page, honorable members, highlights the abbreviations and acronyms which are tabled in this report. If we have left out any acronym that is quite essential, we will appreciate some feedback on that as well, so that as the report is adopted, it is fully inclusive. These are all the list of the acronyms, which I will not necessarily go through all of them one by one. However, then I'll go to the strategic overview of the state plan. Honorable members, this presentation, as I indicated earlier, is a draft that was performed in 2022, which had to highlight the policy priorities that would fit into the state plan of the committee moving forward for 2019 to 2024. In terms of the process, what have we done in looking at this? The process that we endeavored was to ensure that the committee's strat plan is aligned with the vision the mission, the mandate of Parliament, as well as the sector priorities. Why am I stating this? It is crucial that the 4 elements or components which are crucial for a strat plan also looks into the inputs. So as we revise this strat plan, honorable members, you will see that we are taking into account the revised inputs that we receive from the members. We also looked into the inputs by looking at the external factors, that is analyzing the external factors, what is happening internally in the organization, what is happening externally as well, and also took some inputs from the management team so that the inputs also give in a valuable foresight to what the stakeholders have also expressed. And in so doing, it has to give a direction of where the direction of the committee is in terms of giving an overview of the strat plan. My apology. I paused by mistake, Mr. Brown.
There's someone whose gadget is iPhone. Can you just please rename your gadget?
Mr. Brown, can you help me? My screen share is paused.
Let me try from my side, Portia.
All right. Let's go to page 5. Thanks. Page 5. As I've outlined the introduction, honorable members, and the process that we embarked on, allow me to state now the mandate of Parliament as encapsulated in this document of the strat plan, that the mandate of Parliament is based on constitutional imperatives, that as members who represent the people, the mandate of Parliament is to ensure that there's governance by the people, that Parliament passes legislation, Parliament oversees the work of the executive, Parliament facilitates public participation, looks into corporate governance and internal engagement. This is how then we have looked into the mandate in terms of the work of the Parliament. Also noting the legislation and the mandate of Parliament, which is in line with the legislation, in particular the Constitution, powers and privileges, immunities, Council of Provinces, and determination, etc. in page 5. Honorable members, page 6, we outlined therefore also the mission of Parliament. What do we mean by the mission of Parliament? The mission is how a vision is accomplished, how members address developmental challenges, because members of Parliament, and Parliament in particular, have a responsibility to transform society. Hence, the focus is on effective oversight, that members conduct oversight to strengthen the scrutiny as well as enabling public participation. In terms of the values are outlined in the strat plan as well. The values, honorable members, are the DNA of any organization. The values outline the culture and norms of what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and what drives the people in any organization. So the values of Parliament also drive what the portfolio committee embarks on when the committee is doing its work. In terms of the objectives of the strategic outcomes-oriented goals, these are outlined to ensure that the committee accomplishes the mission work of Parliament, and in so doing, the mandate of the committee then takes into account every every point that has been outlined by the National Assembly in terms of the portfolio work that the portfolio committee of basic education in particular should carry its work in accordance with the mandate of the National Assembly, which is to facilitate the achievement of the mandate during the 6th term of 2019 to 2023 by guiding the directive of the work in the 6th Parliament. And this strategic framework, therefore, provides those key strategic objectives and oversight priorities, and provides a guidance on how these will be pursued for a specific period. Page 7, honorable members, outlines the mandate of the committee then, which is to consider legislation, refer to it, conduct oversight on the organ of state, in particular the department, to facilitate the appointment of candidates to entities, to consider international agreements, and to consider the budget of the department. Now, based on these strategic objectives, honorable members, the strategic plan has to ensure that alongside the mandate of Parliament and mandate of the committee, the legislation that is relevant to the committee is passed, that central to public issues, that legislation is passed, that ensures also that the public has taken part in it, and that there is effective process of scrutinizing the oversight of identified focus areas, in particular of the Department of Education and its entities, which is SACE and UMALUS. On the situation analysis, honorable members, we could highlight that the committee started its work mid-2019. And at that particular time, the reasoning of not developing the strat plan at that time, the committee after 2019, the country and the world at large went into a COVID session or COVID scenario. We were impacted by the COVID pandemic to an extent that we could not at that specific time sit down as a committee then and look back into how the committee will drive forward its strat plan. But I'd like to outline that, to outline these committee priorities of 2022-2023 based on the strat plan of the committee, which is 2019 to 2024. We reflected, honorable members, also on the 2021-22, which is a year whereby the achievements of the committee, the risk factors were also highlighted, and that there was some reflection of what the committee will work on in terms of the reflection. And then this was assisting to assess the performance of the committee, as you have seen when the chairperson was highlighting the annual report of 2023. In terms of the sector-specific priorities, honorable members, this document has outlined these key strategic objectives as a draft planning at the draft planning session, which took place at that particular time of 19 April 2022, and also a review of the committee in terms of outlining the work, while at the same time reflecting also on the previous financial year. The planning process, honorable members, also outlined the fact that the strat plan, as much as it is aligned with the parliamentary mandate, it is also aligned with key policy priorities such as the UN SDG goal number 4 in particular, the African Union agenda in relation to basic education, the medium-term strategic framework, the National Development Plan, the State of the Nation address of February 2022. These documents were considered in terms of what they outline for the basic education sector for the key outcomes approach. In terms of the SDG, the one that pertains to basic education is goal number 4, which we have highlighted in bold, which reads as follows: quality education to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. That goal number 4 is applicable to South Africa and other countries as well. It is a commitment that our government in South Africa is committed to. Also, in line with the National Development Plan, it's a broader priority in terms of the sustainability. However, what was important for the committee as well was that in its plan, it takes into account the SDG Goal 4. The Africa Union agenda also has aspirations that the committee had looked to. The NDP 2030 in particular at the bottom of page 10, the outcomes approach on the NDP implementation is where the oversight role of the committee becomes very key to ensure that the Department of Basic Education and its entities, says Umalusi, address the triple challenges, in particular of unemployment, poverty, and inequality, and that the indicators that have to be, that were outlined, in particular the 14 outcomes in the MTSF 2019 to 24, are also linked to the objectives of the National Development Plan. So in response to this NDP, the committee has committed to ensure that there should be and there must be improved quality of basic education as a key priority outcome number 1, that the South African government sees education as a major contributor to our country's social and economic growth. The next page, honorable members, outlines then the NDP sets that have looked at improved outcomes for 2030, which some of them includes the fact that the tripling of numbers of grade 12 learners who must achieve university entrance with mathematics and physical science by 2030 should be achieved. Therefore, in the work of the committee and the plan in particular, the plan must be such that when the committee is looking at its work, that key target is also taken into account as a most important factor. In terms of the MTSF, there are 7 apex priorities that also reflect and are derived from the NDP. Priority number 3, I won't speak to all of them, but priority number 3, which speaks to education, skills, and health, is aligned with the basic education sector. We also looked at priority number 6 of social cohesion and safe communities. These 2, number 3 and number 6, link directly to the work of the Basic Education Portfolio Committee, while other priorities, for example, number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5, and 7, it's where the committee then plays an intergovernmental cooperative role with other departments so that they are also aligned to achieve the tangible progress of the realization of the transformative NDP Vision 2030. Outlining priority 3, which speaks to education, skills, and health. Honorable members, this priority calls for better outcomes, which are critical for education, skills, and health. It also speaks to a very important collaboration between the Department of Health, the Department of Social Development, and the Department of Basic Education, such that when we look at key issues that the children are affected within the education sector, that those other 2 sister departments are also involved, hence the aspect of collaborative aspect, and that it addresses number 3, the education, health, and skills. And the first component of this priority, it addresses access to early childhood development, improve school infrastructure and teaching environment, more children in foundation phase, and 10-year-olds being able to read for meaning, and youth being better prepared for further study and contribute to socio-economic development. That's what priority number 3 of the APEX NDP is all about, and what it outlines as the outcomes for the basic education sector. Now, for key interventions that the committee will plan is to look at the migration of preschooling to DBE in terms of improving early childhood development, the school readiness assessment, which was operationalized as far back as 2021, the introduction of new systemic evaluation, the three-stream curriculum model to be rolled out by 2024, which the DG has often shared with the committee in terms of his inputs, the redesign and configuration of second chance matric program, and the DBE collaboration with DCCT to ensure 80% school connectivity. The above, honorable members, is what the government committed fundamentally to the NDP goals that this must be achieved, and therefore the commitment of the committee as well is to ensure that in tracking progress, these have been planned in the committee's strat plan. On the next page, I highlighted the medium-term goals in terms of the NDP aspirations on the left and the MTSF commitments for DPO on the right. But I want to move straight to section 5.5 in terms of the midterm strategic framework outcomes of 2019 to 2024. These ones becomes important for the committee to conduct its oversight work, taking into consideration that in the 2019 to 24, the plans for implementation, the set priorities as expressed in the MTSF looked into the outcomes, number one, of improved school readiness of children, the 10-year-old learners enrolled in publicly funded schools and being able to read for meaning, youth being better prepared for studies, and youth leaving the schooling system more prepared to contribute to a prosperous and equitable South Africa, and the issue of outcome number 5 of school physical infrastructure and an environment that inspires learners to learn and teachers to teach. Page 14, honorable members, we outlined this graphical presentation by highlighting that the planning of the committee then had to link key policy priorities to this strat plan to ensure that the outcomes are achieved. So the planning process itself summarily looked at the key policies on the left side, which is the HCG, I've cited that, the AU Agenda 2063, the SADC Master Plan, we're in the SADC region, the NDP, MTSF, SONA priorities, the departmental strat plan, we've looked into it, and the committee's own annual performance plan. Why did we do this? We also had to look at the inputs, which is the government implementation plans of the MTSF for 2019 to 2024 for achieving these desired social outcomes. The committee had to plan, to monitor, and evaluate on a period of 5 years from 2019, when the committee started, up to 2024, so that in a trajectory of 5 years, one can look back and reflect, how did the committee then, in terms of its planned annual performance plan and the strat plan, achieved what was in the plan. Page 15 to Ellen. The strat plan, honorable members, also took cue from the education sector priorities, which were pronounced by the Honorable President, His Excellency, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, when he called for the learning recovery, and he reiterated in 2021 in particular that the priorities should, not necessarily the priority, but the issue of COVID-19, that the sector looks into the learning disruptions. So it meant that as the department was planning to give priority to regain lost time, that the portfolio work as well also reflects on how the committee will plan its oversight work to see that the priorities to regain lost time during COVID was also factored when learners and schools were experiencing learning disruptions. The SONA 22 focus areas, honorable members, therefore, reflected on the aspect of the early childhood development, the reading, the inclusive education, the three-stream model, the infrastructure, and social cohesion. These, honorable members, once more, one could say, They were also reflected in the 2020 to 21 financial year. Also, the commitment of the planning was to ensure that in terms of the infrastructure, that the rollout of ASIDI and SAFE in all provinces was taken into account in the development of the committee's plan. While the department remained committed to SONA 2021 pronouncements in respect of ECD rating, school infrastructure, and the three-school model, also there was pre-existing priorities to improve early learning foundations that the department also in its plan had to look at its turnaround time, including now the recovery, which had to come up, which came on board with the COVID-19, recovery and strengthening of the curriculum, the learning recovery, and as well as learning recovery framework for 2022-24, the teacher development and professional capacity enhancement of educators. With due regards to the learner performance, we looked into that as well of the matric results of 2022 for the class of 2021. There was an improvement, honorable members, and this slight improvement as compared to the class of 2020, which was achieved at 76.2, also speaks to the committee role and the oversight activities and focus areas that were taken or undertaken by the portfolio committee in the year 2020-21 and 2021-2023. In terms of the committee's performance, this section, honorable members, now reflects, when we reflect to look back, what have I done in the past? When you plan forward and also reflect in the past. What was achieved in the year 2021, ending in March 2022? The committee's annual performance plan is informed, honorable members, by objectives contained in this statement of 2019-24. However, most importantly was to oversee the work of the department, to scrutinize the budget which was allocated to the department and the two entities for the usage in that specific financial year. And this monitoring aspect is a built-in oversight function of this portfolio committee. With regards to meetings, the table below, honorable members, table 1, highlights the performance of the committee from 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Now it gives you a closer overall view of how the committee itself, while undertaking all these oversight activities and other things, but also reflect on what the committee, how the committee has performed. For example, in 2019-20, the committee had 21 meetings and 2 oversight visits. In 2020-21, the committee had 30 meetings and I think it's 3 oversight visits. COVID year, of course. 2021-22, the committee had 25 meetings and 4 oversight visits. This is how the committee had performed in terms of its meetings and in terms of its oversight visit and functions. Page 17, honorable members, I won't go through all of it, but highlights the meetings which were also held in totality or in total. In particular, I would cite an update on learner admissions placements, an update on the Ititabane recommendations as the committee had taken an oversight to the Eastern Cape at that particular time, the department's third quarterly report, the status review in terms of preparedness for the third wave. This was a COVID time, if you remember, first, second, third wave. So we are dealing with the third wave at the time. The plan had to reflect that. The impact of the damages to school during the unrest period for schools readiness in August 2021. The briefing on gender-based program and violence in the teaching profession as teachers are being also affected by the GP gender-based issues. The fourth quarterly report of the department, an update on the ECD function shift as the ECD was projectively planning to migrate in April 2022. the Second Chance Matric Program and the Continuing Provincial Development, issue of teenage pregnancy, the expenditure patterns in terms of equity in education, the annual report, which we will call it as a BRRR, the briefings, the NSC examination outcomes, briefings of the BELA, as in 2022 now, the BELA was introduced to the committee. The committee deliberated on how it will deliberate on the BELA bill, the impact of SONA in February 22, a presentation by the department, and also the Quality Learning and Teaching Campaign, QLTC, and the implementation of oversight and recommendations. These for the 2021-2022 financial year, honorable members, were committee meetings and also virtual briefings with the department and the entities in terms of the work of the committee. The 7.3 outlines then the fiscal framework considerations. How did the committee consider the reports of the department and the entities in terms of the timeframes? There was a budget vote, and the reports were also considered on those dates, which is 15 March 2022, for the department, for Umalusi and SACE. The APPs of the department were also assessed against the department's own strategic plan, the department's budget allocation, and expenditure. Honorable members, I also like to highlight here that these meetings were held jointly with the NCOP Select Committee on Education, Technology, and Sports, because it was important that in terms of the intergovernmental relations, that the NA and NCOP currently looks into these reports to plan also for the priorities moving forward. Next page, Mr. Brown, page 19. On page 19, honorable members, we highlight the aspect of the COVID impacting on the work of the department, impacting on the work of the committee itself, and then the work that the committee did at that time also was to look at the COVID funds expenditure and realignment of the curriculum in response to the pandemic. That included looking at the health and safety regulations for learners as well as educators. So those were meetings that the committee was calling the department and also calling the provincial heads of department and their officials to account to the committee around the COVID impact. The monitoring and oversight taken is highlighted on page 19, where the committee then took the 3 oversight visits, and jointly one was done with the select committee in the KZN and Gauteng for the quarter year, for the second quarter of 2021-22, to monitor and assess the impact of the damages and looting which occurred on school infrastructure and how best schools could look into the situation so that they are not necessarily affected and that the situation of the schools return to normality for learners to learn and teachers to teach. So the committee sought to focus again now on the schools reopening to full capacity. Are the schools ready to return to full capacity? Did the schools adhere to COVID-19 protocols and regulations? Were learners and educators observing social distancing? The state of the school environment, was it conducive for learning? The provisioning of learner-teacher support materials, were those delivered on time? Did learners get their materials? The staff establishment and post-provisioning in schools, were these allocated? Availability of learner transport and the school nutrition for qualifying learners, and the state of school infrastructure and the issues of promoting social cohesion. So all of that, the honorable members also factored into the COVID impact of the year under review. In terms of reflection on oversight activities undertaken in the period 2021-22, page 22 highlights those, but I want to make a comment that the 27th of June to July, I would like to indicate to our colleagues that we'll remove that one because as we were double checking in the reports, I think there's a mistake there of error. But the first one was an oversight visit to DBE and statutory bodies in Pretoria. There was an oversight visit to damaged schools infrastructure in Gauteng and KZN. The committee did also Northwest and Free State. The release of the results in Johannesburg. The basic education Lekgotla attended by the chairperson, and then the committee conducting oversight in the Western Cape and Northern Cape in February 2022. And thereafter, the committee embarked on the legislation, which is the Bella Bill, which was now presented to the committee in February 2022. Now, the Bella Bill having been tabled at the committee, first at the National Assembly and then referred to the Portfolio Committee in 2022, the committee planned to deliberate on the Bella Bill. In terms of the intergovernmental programs, there were virtual meetings jointly held with the NCOP as the meetings and the oversight visits were undertaken in the July 2021 unrest. For the international study tour, the committee planned to undertake international study tour between 2020-21. However, due to the COVID outbreak and the lockdown regulations, such preparations were put into abeyance because travel was restricted, and therefore, as much as the committee had planned to undertake a study tour, it couldn't travel. In terms of the outstanding oversight matters, there was an issue of learner transport, learner dropouts, was exacerbated by COVID-19. And again, in 2021-22, outstanding matters were the ECD migration, the sanitation infrastructure, maths and science performance that required strengthened oversight in the 22-23 financial year. Further, recommendations made by the committee from the oversight undertaken in various schools, the committee planned in 2022-23 to do a follow-up. As we have seen in 2022-23, when the committee was doing oversight at specific provinces, it was hard work of the committee on the ground at the schools in the provinces to ensure that what was being planned is being actioned by the department and the provinces for growth and support of the schools. In terms of committee priorities now, retrospective of 2019-20 to 23-24, which is where we're at this year. It's a long 5-year trajectory. This page now outlines at length all the priority areas, what the department also had planned, what says in page 2022, and Umalusi would look into that the committee will also oversee these entities because SACE is responsible for the promotion of teacher profession. Umalusi is tasked to monitor the issue of qualifications and the standards in particular, as well as quality assurance. And then an overview of the department's MTEF estimates in the 2022-23 year is that there is an adjusted appropriation of 28 billion, 483, and 22-23 was 29 billion. Now, this particular table at 8.3 of honorable members give the committee an oversight role. We are highlighting it so that the committee's work in terms of looking at the budget scrutiny of the department looks at the amounts, what was allocated for the department, how did the department spend this money, if there was any under expenditure, what were the reasons, what was allocated for compensation of employees, for in particular, what was allocated for, was there any decline or decrease? And if there was, then also look at those percentages to look at the expenditure of 2021-22. That was the work of the committee planned for the budget priority for the department. The allocations which were granted, in particular for nutritional school meals, the department has got 5 programs. We just cited those two because at the time, those were quite critical, not to say others were not important. So I just want to state that for purpose of clarification. The department's purpose is outlined there with its budget. If it is correct, honorable members, please let me know. I'm sorry to highlight it in bold. Then the priorities of the department, we also had to highlight these priorities because when you explain the work and the plan of the committee also has to look into the priorities of the basic education. What is it that the department has planned? And how, as a committee, are we going to ensure that what has been planned has to be implemented? The department in the 2019-24, honorable members, planned to implement the following set of priorities: the early childhood development, reading, skills and competencies for a changing world, information communication technologies and education, curriculum and assessment, accountability and consequence management for non-performance and non-delivery, the infrastructure in terms of ACD, working towards these NDP objectives that all schools meet the minimum infrastructure standards for sanitation, appropriate for classroom educations, the libraries, school safety, violence and social cohesion, strengthening the school nutrition program to eliminate hunger, and the implementation of no schools with incorporating all quantiles 1 to 3. 6.4 highlights the budget, which also looks into the estimates and the transfers. And then page 24, having highlighted what the department planned to do, now the committee's priorities for 2022 and 23, indicative of the priority focus areas of oversight, was also taking cue from the NDP, the NTSF, and the State of the Nation Address. Table 4, honorable members, also now highlight the committee priorities that the committee planned for 2022-2023. If I can pause here quickly and say, the previous pages highlight what the committee planned for the previous years from 19, 20, 21. Now, this specific table recites what the committee has planned to look into the work of the department. Now, let's look at what it is that we are saying here. On the left column, the first column is the DBE and the entities, which is Malus and says. The committee priorities for 2022-23, therefore, was to look at maths and science performance, to look at the enrollment numbers versus expenditure related to redress and address of economic demands. There was a 4.1 billion allocated to FUNZA. The committee had to look into this, and also the issue of the critical educators such as in these specified subject areas such as mathematics, science, and technology, which the committee had raised certain questions during the DBE presentations in some of the meetings. The focus area as an oversight area as a priority was also the issue of the ECD migration, the under expenditure related to the school infrastructure grant, the 6.7 billion grant over the MTF to build 30 new schools and provisioning of water, the strat plan, APPs and budgets of the DBE and the entities, the health and safety cohesion in schools, provision of these nutritious meals, and the 2022 exams and outcomes, because now we're in the 2022-23 financial year, as well as not forgetting the professional development of teachers. For improvement, the MTF period, we had to look at into the improvement. Why this has to be done? It was to improve the school infrastructure, to provide high quality material for learners, to facilitate an increase of quality teachers, and to ensure that the teachers deliver to subjects and that learners are being prepared for the changing world. I think that's what the committee oversight priorities were for 2022 and 2023 in terms of the plan. 8.4.1, now retrospectively, looks at 2020 and 2021. Honorable members would say, why are we doing it in this way? You are here present, you project to the future, and at the same time, you reflect on what you have done. So that's the principle of how this strat plan and the APP has taken into account. I've already highlighted this on page 24. I will then move to page 25 in terms of the work of the legislation. While the department submitted to the committee and parliament the Basic Education Law Amendment Bill, the committee then in 2022-23 planned to consider the processing of this bill in 2022-23 up to 2023-2024 financial year. The bill was referred to committee on the 15th December. The portfolio committee identified that it will support the implementation also of the ACT in terms of other legislations that we looked into. The committee also identified that in terms of the GEC, which the Department of Basic Education had spoken about, that it requires some follow-up. The committee also then planned to do a follow-up on this specific policy from the department. So these are the legislative aspects which were planned by the portfolio committee in the year 2022-23. The oversight, what was planned for oversight and accountability? The Committee for Oversight and Accountability planned to look at the DBE's achievements in 2021. Also, the areas of oversight included its own strat plan, the consideration now of the annual reports and the two entities, and issues of educator professional development and Umalusi on GEC qualification and state of readiness for the NSC exams. In 2021-22, the oversight activities performed by the committee, I've reflected in the previous one at 2019-20. Now we're looking at 2021-22 up to March 2022 last year. This table is very crucial, honorable members, for us to understand when the committee had undertaken oversight, what was the reason, which provinces were visited, and which districts were also visited, so that in the next round of visits, we take districts which were visited, and we take those that were not visited, and then we planned projectively to ensure that South Africa at large, every district, at least the portfolio committee must have a footprint in any aspect regarding the basic education. So the roundtables were done, the oversight on the KZN, the official release of the results, the HOTLAs, and the provinces. Now, this specific page now highlights not just what was done and for what reason, but also highlights, most importantly, the districts that were visited, so as to ensure that South Africa, this is how the committee planned, this is how the visits were planned, and this is how it has gone out to give support. The conferences and the workshops, there was one which was held in January 2021. The committee also strived to adhere to cooperative and sound intergovernmental relations by working with other committees through liaison, of course, also with the department and the provinces. Public participation, as part of its oversight work, the committee planned to embark in public participation to enhance public involvement. And this was planned for the second term, in particular of 2022-23. The second term, yes. I think the Bella Bill then in the fourth parliamentary term of 2022, provisionally, a schedule was presented for oral hearings to be held in Parliament to address the public participation aspect of the page 28 graphical input, honorable members, succinctly outlines the annual planned programs just for public hearings for the year 2022-2023. The first column highlights the provinces, which is Limpopo, KZN, Gauteng, Western Cape, Mpumalanga, Northern Cape, Northwest, Eastern Cape, Free State. At the time of the planning, this is what the committee planned. But sometimes the plan and the actuals would somehow differ or deviate. The plan was to visit at least 4 districts per province. However, it occurred that due to resources, I would say not just financial, due to resources, the plan, as much as the plan highlighted 4 districts, we planned for 4 districts per province and targeting at least 500 per municipality or per district. This and in actual fact, when we're looking at the report that the chair had presented just now, we did 3 per province and not necessarily 4. So that I'm highlighting it so that members cannot ask, but why did you cite 4 here? And in actual fact, we only did 3. So yeah, this is the what was planned. So when the committee went out to conduct these public hearings, there was a plan. The committee didn't just go out to conduct public hearings. It went out to conduct these hearings based on an annual performance plan of the committee. Now, what was envisaged for 2023-2024? Respectively, honorable members, there were briefings of the annual reports that would take place, the budgets, the budget votes, and the APPs between 2023-24. And the oversight to be undertaken in 2023-24 will include that the department will present its annual report and APP, the budget votes being conducting still an oversight and a CD and the EIG, the ECD migration in terms of the progress. Now that a migration has occurred and happened, how is the progress? How has it shifted from the social development? And the state of assessment of ECD infrastructure. Now that ECD is migrated, what's the infrastructure out there on the ground? The qualifications of ECD practitioners, are they registered? Are they getting support for capacity? Salaries, are they standardized? Safety issues and security in schools, particularly the issues of sexual misconduct, and what is SACE doing to protect the issue of sexual misconduct in schools, that the committee is planning also to look at the briefing in terms of the maintenance plan and budget for infrastructure and maintenance in school, the district development model, how it is used to guide the provinces, and then also the planning for the oversight visit to KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape, which had occurred in the 2023-24 January as we went out on the progress also of the building of infrastructure and those schools that were affected by the floods and unrest of July 2021-22. For 2023-24, the committee planned to process the legislation, and then after it has come to it, that it will go for concurrence, and that the oversight role over this public participation would be to enhance public involvement and also make follow-up where necessary. That was the plan of the committee. The intergovernmental relations in 2022-23, the committee formed part of the ad hoc joint committee on floods disaster. Honorable members would recall that last year there was a floods disaster. The portfolio committee formed part of that ad hoc committee. The portfolio committee also looked into ensuring that those schools affected by the floods disaster through the ad hoc committee would be supported. In 2023-24, also the committee looked at participating in the overview follow-up of programs in terms of everything that the committee had done. The public participation plan for 2023-24 forms an integral part of the Parliament's core objectives. The Portfolio Committee in 2023-24 on its public participation aspect, I think the planning was that the bill would have still be in progress but then the provinces, in terms of the implementation of this public participation model, it would become actualized. So that public participation plan something that can be reviewed. For study tours, the committee for 2023-24, when the committee was discussing, the members made inputs for suggestions like countries like USA, that we can also look at one country in Africa, in the African continent. Some members also had indicated, let's look at also Russia. However, the details of the study tours were to be announced in due course. Towards the conclusion of this specific strat plan now, we also looked at key priorities now for 2022-23 in terms of the outlining of the objectives. The first one is oversight and accountability. This strategic objective is a strategic objective of Parliament that the committee as well has to take into account when the committee is planning its work. So meetings were held, the sector plan, the APPs were presented. That was done 4 times in the first quarter. 2022-23 targets, we had 1. In quarter 3, we had 1, and quarter 4, we had 4. Meeting held on by entities, says and Umalusi. In quarter 1, we had 1. Quarter 2, we have got an X there. Quarter 3, we had 1, and quarter 4, we had 1. Briefings by DBE for a budget vote, that is the PRRR and annual votes. In quarter 2, we were planned 2. In quarter 2, we planned 1. Quarter 3, we planned 2. Quarter 4, we planned 1. Briefing by the entities, that is says and Malusi. We planned 2, quarter 1. We planned for 1 in quarter 2. Quarter 3, we didn't do because we planned more for the public participation, and quarter 1 in quarter 4, 1. Oversight visits undertaken, 1. Planned for 1 in quarter 1. Planned for 1 in quarter 2. There was no planning for oversight in quarter 3 due to the fact that the committee had to focus more on the public participation of the bill. Quarter 4, planned for 1. The public participation aspect of the public hearings, the committee planned for 4 in quarter 3 and 4 in quarter 4. For written submissions, or receiving petitions, the committee looked at listening to those and attending to those in quarter 2, which was 1, and 1 in quarter 3, and 1 in quarter 4. With due regards to legislation, the committee planned for oral hearings, the participation of the public. The committee planned for 8 in quarter 3 and 3 in quarter 4. In terms of the bills and legislation, the committee planned 1 in quarter 2. That is the legislation being processed. The committee planned to process that by end of quarter 2, 1 would have been done, which was the BELA. There was nothing planned for the statutory appointments to be processed. In terms of cooperative governance and members' participation in sectoral parliaments or any other programs, workshops, the hotlines and all that, the committee planned 1 in quarter 1 and 1 in quarter 2. Members' participation in provincial week, this one, honorable members, refers to members of the NCOP, but if members of the NA do that, we felt we will leave it there. In terms of international participation, members identified the countries in the meetings. However, one visit was identified to be undertaken in quarter 4. So it was just only 1. The above framework, honorable members, therefore provide an estimate of meetings to be held, oversight visits to be undertaken, legislation to be processed, and the other components. Part B of the strategic plan outlines the strategic objectives of the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education starting from 2019 up to 2024. Page 32. We started by highlighting the strategic objective. These strategic objectives, where do they come from? They come from the Parliament strategic plans as well. And what do we mean by these strategic objectives? These are statements that outline the purpose and the overall milestones to be achieved. And with the outcomes, the process approved applications of approved legislations is what is desired, that these statements also now specifically outlines what must be achieved in terms of concrete goals and concrete outcomes. The indicator column, honorable members, when you drive a car, for me, indicator says when I'm turning left, I'm turning left. When I'm turning right, I'm turning right. So it's very important that the strat plan also has an indicator so that we can know this time now we are going this way, this time we are going that way. So that indicators that we have allude to the number of bills processed and adopted, the number of advertisements, the number of meetings, including public hearings, the number of minutes that were produced, the report on the bill and copy of the amended bill. Those are all now having been encapsulated in the annual report of the committee that Honorable Chairperson started with earlier this morning. Let's look at column of the activities. What activities did the committee plan? So this is what is being done by the committee. The bill was tabled and it was referred to it. There was briefing on the bill. The bill was advertised. Public hearings were processed. Deliberations of the reports. Draft minutes are there in place, and the amendment and the adoption of the legislation and the table report. These activities, honorable members, were all part of the bigger plan, 2019 to 2024. Now, in terms of the annual targets for the legislation in particular, the committee planned to deal with one piece of legislation, that is the Bella Bill. One piece of legislation, that was a target. It was advertised in the newspaper. There were 6 meetings held. There are copies of 6 minutes being in place. One report was also planned, and the copy of the amended bill. Those were also highlighted as annual targets of the Portfolio Committee. For 2022-23 targets, the legislative program of the department was also presented. We quarter 2, the processing of the written submissions, quarter 3, processing the written submissions, quarter 4, tabling of the Bella Bill and processing of the submissions, as well as an update on how far the bill was and the draft report being presented with the committee. Those were the targets of the committee for 2022-23. And then for the next slide, push Mr. Brown, conducting of oversight. The first few columns highlight the years 2019 to 2024. The middle part after the annual targets highlights the annual targets for 2022 to 2023, as well as how it goes, honorable members. I think if I can stay more, I would be repeating myself, but that is how the committee has planned its work for conducting oversight over the department and the entities to ensure that there is an effective oversight over the department and its entities. What would be the indicator? The committee annual plan, which I also referred to just now. The activities, the committee report were adopted, and there was also scrutiny of the budget vote and the step plan of the department and entities. In terms of the process to approve legislation, I think I've dealt with that. Number 3. 56. Number 3, strategic objective number 3 speaks to the facilitation of public participation and involvement in the legislative aspects of Parliament. The outcome is enhanced access and participation in the activities of Parliament of the committee. Yeah, there we have committee report on public hearings that indicates the work which was done. There's also a committee report that leads to how the bill was the processing of this bill was advertised, the committee's programs on informing the public in advance, and the target being the bill itself. And in Q1 of the 22-23, the MPs spending time in their constituencies, engaging the public in their constituencies during the constituency period, of course, the bill being advertised, the constituency period, the MPs engaging, and these were processes that were dealt with in terms of the strategic objective of public participation. And strategic goal objective number 4, to ensure cooperative governance. That one was to ensure an outcome of enhanced oversight. The indicators are the number of joint briefings which would be conducted and held, joint briefings with other committees of Parliament. Annually, the committee planned for 3, and then in the quarter was Q1, Q2, Q3, where the planning was now looking into supporting of the other ad hoc committees, and then also in Q3 looking at the issue of ECD with the Department of Social Development. Q1 of 2022, there was a plan also for infrastructure impact on the floods, and also a deliberation with the public works, water and sanitation, those departments that the committee planned to have an engagement with them to look at the issues of damages that impacted on schools. The number of meetings with the portfolio committee was also highlighted as an indicator of the work of the committee being done on cooperative governance, and the invitation of the provincial legislature for meetings. Honorable members will recall that, especially in the COVID year, the PEDs were invited to come and present their, especially the COVID aspect of the impact on the schools. That is part of the activity that the committee had planned over the 5-year period, and then meetings were held and conducted with PCs, and then there's a report on that which was also planned that it will link to the other spheres of government. The international study tour, it was just one, and the committee report will be shared, I think, in the next 2 meetings. Honorable members, in terms of the work which was given to us as a secretariat, we would like to thank you as we reach the conclusion of this 2022-23 financial year strat plan and the APP. And from our side, we would like to also thank the committee for the support it has provided, as we state that this strat plan started on 19 April 2022, retrospectively to the year the committee started, as well as the APP itself, highlighting the work of the committee, the priorities, an assessment of the committee's work itself and how the committee has performed, as well as the priorities outlining projection of 2023-24, 24-25. Honorable members, we are happy to say that this is the work that the committee had planned over the last, for projection over the last 5 years. And if it is in good order and good stead, that may the Honorable Dear Chairperson, Honorable Mbingo Kikaba, would sign it, as well as the House Chairperson, that this is a reflection of the work undertaken to plan for the activities of the committee in the year under review. We also want to acknowledge, in referencing the organizations that were taken when our researcher as well, Mr. Kekana, looked into the information that we needed to draft this committee further, Mr. Brown, Ms. Nkosan, and our unit manager, Mr. Pandi, who has given us support. So we thank you very much for listening, and we thank you very much for giving us the task to go back and refine this particular strat plan. If there are gaps, honorable members, we are humans, we make we make mistakes and we acknowledge mistakes. We are here to rectify them so that the work of the committee can grow moving forward. I thank you, Chairperson and members. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much, Sposh, for this presentation on the strat plan. Members, anything that you feel must be added on this the strat plan? Something that you think is missed? No data? No data.
Good morning, Chair. Can I just check, Chair, am I audible?
Mm.
All right, thank you so much. Chair, there's just a few points that I would just like to inquire and maybe make additions to. Considering that we're dealing with the strat plan over the period of time. There's been statistics that have been updated, and I don't see a reflection of those in this. We know, for example, between grade 10 and grade 12 for 2023 cohort, there was a 33% dropout rate, and the report only indicates a 2014 figure of 1%, excuse me, up until the grades of, up until grade 9. So I just wanted to check, what is the reason that more recent statistics weren't included in the report? And secondarily, linked to that question, are we going to be able to indicate how the department is engaging the Department of Higher Education to track learners attending TVETs? That's just the first question. The second one is around the department's use on LURITs to optimally track and trace learners in danger of dropping out, and what strategies are being used to encourage the continued education. I know that there's areas in which this is indicated, but there's no thorough indication in terms of that. We've just dealt with the report now. Thirdly, we've just dealt now with the report around pit toilets, and linking to it to SAFE and a CD. We know that there are about 728, schools that only have pit toilets, and 506 or 508 of those are in the Eastern Cape. And I just think it's very important for us to make sure that we ascertain some timelines from the department on the complete of this infrastructure assessment through oversights. And I just wanted to check, when last the department actually did a complete infrastructure assessment through oversight, so that we are able to also measure that. And then the second last one for me, Chair, is around taking stock of all schools, with libraries, as well as those schools that don't have libraries, and being able to measure the timelines of when those can be stocked up, which those that have libraries and those that don't, when those reading corners can be established. And then the last one is around the National School Nutrition Program. We've gotten a very solid presentation around the 9 billion project. I think it was from Dr. Hole, if I'm not mistaken, or someone was in the department, on which provinces actually provide 2 meals a day in primary and which don't. And I think it's important for us, considering that there's 5 million children that are malnutrition, meaning they don't get enough, food in a day for their brains to function at school. It'd be good for us to also make sure that we, in our strategic planning and APP, we indicate how many of those schools actually offer 1 meal a day as part of the NSNP, and how many offer 2 meals a day, and how do we then measure the outcome of making sure that these primary school learners are getting 2 meals a day. Those are just a few areas that I had identified, Chair. And I think in the main, I would like to get an indication for most of them. But I had a very key question around the statistics being quite outdated in terms of what we use currently. Thanks, Chair.
It's here.
morning. Good morning, Chair, again, and to everybody else. I think I'm a bit disturbed, Chair, by the first and last comment by Honorable Nodada, when he says the 2023 cohort of matrix and the 2021 who were doing the return, there was a 33% dropout rate. I think, Chair, we have a responsibility in this, at least on this platform, to try and correct that part, because on his, towards the end of his first point, he makes sort of almost correcting himself that we're still waiting for the number that would have went on to Tibet colleges to finish that part. Now, a dropout, when you say the dropout, it means the kids completely left the schooling environment. And I think that is a misleading, especially on this platform, to put it that way. I don't think it's a dropout. I think we have a responsibility at least to correct this part, because sorry, because a number of them, like he correctly said, would have went to Tibet colleges and was still waiting for that. So to put a number and say 33% dropout rate, I think it's a little bit misleading. So we must correct that part, Chair. But I think the reason I was raising my hand was at least to ask about the issue of NSNP, and he covered it, so that we rather get a clear indication of in each province how many primary schools are getting 2 meals a day, so that at least it form part of our reporting moving forward. Thank you very much, but I think he covered it, so I will not really go into it from, yeah, thanks.
Not once.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and let me also appreciate the presentation made by Mrs. Posh, and also maybe make a few inputs. Chair, I think the report to the large extent covers truly the work that has been done, and through our plans, and also monitoring and doing oversight over the plans and APPs of the department and its entities. However, Chair, I think the report lacks comparison to, you know, the achievements or the work that we have done as the 6th Parliament administration vis-a-vis the work that has been done by the 4th and maybe in the 5th administration. I think that also need to reflect on the report, so that we are able to track the work that we have, you know, contributed to, you know, the timelines of the NDP, the goals, you know, as have been mentioned by Sis Posh. But I think it is important also just to add the comparison between, you know, the previous terms. You would remember that our term, or the more than 80% achievement of the departments on the NSC results has been recognized or happened during our term, from the class of 2019 for the first time. that the department has received more than 80%. Also built into that so that the next in the next administration there'll be easily for them to follow on some of the achievement and challenges that the committee has went through to be where we are, even the department. The second thing, Chair, I think it will also be important for for the report, just maybe to indicate that, as Honorable Letsie was saying, there is no need for us to put things that we know they are not reflecting, or it's not a reflection of what has been agreed upon in our meetings. Rather, we put a set of references of where the information can be sourced from. For instance, the documents that we used, meetings, dates of meetings that we said, as they reflect, make them as a reference point, rather than putting things that we know it's one person's view. It was never a reflection of the collective or of the meeting. So I would agree that we leave those things outside our report. But let me also take this opportunity and thank you, Chair, through your leadership, the hard work of our colleagues, the hard work that has been done by the staff, Mr. Brown, Mrs. Posh, Tate Kekana, and also just appreciate how we had a smooth running operations through the 5-year term that we had with the department. We never had any struggle to whether call meetings or get information or whatever the case may be. We also had found an amicable solution in the challenges that we had through your leadership, through the leadership of the minister and the DM, through the leadership of the DG administratively in the department. Malusi has been one of the entities that we had to oversee and monitor, and they have been doing well all through the years, through the term that we have served. And we must also appreciate that our contribution has, also made impact in making sure that they do their job, the department, Umalusi and says. So it's something that one can be proud of, that we have been here in the space and many good things has happened. Yes, there were challenges. Yes, there were bad things that we know that took place, during COVID. We all needed to adapt, we needed to adjust. And we also found, a way to do the work, even under very difficult circumstances. We availed ourselves, to go to provinces and check, the readiness of how the school have been prepared to welcome the kids. We've been doing that. We visited all the provinces. We tried to cover many districts and schools throughout our term, including now in January, where we had to split and cover as many as possible, and also checking different aspects, of how the school readiness has been prepared. So it is important, Chair, just to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution of everyone. It was not easy, we all know, but we managed to pull through together as a community. So for that, Chair, let me pause there and thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, members. I think let me just get in here, and for purposes of everybody understands what actually we're doing. I'm sure members are aware that we still, I think in a week or two, going to deal with the legacy report. And the report, that legacy report is going to reflect on on what is it that we have done, meaning our achievement, and that is the legacy that we will be leaving for the 7th administration. Ms. Posh, before she started with this presentation, she had mentioned that we couldn't deal with the strategic plan in the other previous years because of many reasons that she had said. And I also think what is missing is that this strat plan is our committee's strat plan. So whatever that we say, should we know that it's going to reflect what we have said. And a plan is what you would have planned to do, which does not necessarily have to have the achievement. It's something that you would judge yourself against what you have planned. So I think let us just agree on that, and we know that this is our report as the committee. I think most of what have been raised, it's something that when we deal with the legacy report, then it's what we would have to reflect on. But I'm seeing Honorable Nodada and Honorable Madlingozi wanting to say something also. Honorable Nodada.
No, thank you so much, Chair. You've literally covered me. And I'm glad you clarified that, because it's very important for us to understand what we're dealing with so that we don't deal with semantics. The only thing that I wanted to add that I have forgotten, Chair, is an issue around scholar transport. What we found over the years is that there's the function has been given to the Department of Transport in some instances the Department of Education. So we need to kind of also find some alignment as part of our strategic planning as to how do we best make sure that there's some form of clarity there so that we make sure that deserving students actually acquire transport. And the reason why I ask these questions, Chair, is just to make sure that we align our reporting and our strategic plan with the data that is currently available to us so that everything is up to date, and also measure ourselves on things that will make meaningful impact that the department has planned for, that is part and parcel of our strategic, part of the strategic framework of the department, but also the goals that we need to attain in the sector generally. So I think people need to also understand what we're dealing with and what is available to us right now and what is not, so that we don't argue things that don't make sense. But at the end of the day, I think your clarification does help, and it goes quite a long way. Thanks, Chair.
Khatebe, or are you gone now?
Enkosi Chair, ndicela ukubulisa ndithi molweni ndicime futhi ndilahleke. Chair, you have that's why I kept on going in and out, because you made it clear as to what this report yenziwe ngusisi ba ihamba kanjani. And yes, but otherwise I wanted to, because since ndibambe emsileni this portfolio committee, I thought it was going to be reporting about everything, because I'm looking at the stabbings and the shootings that are happening in all these schools, and nothing has been reported about them, how they should be dealt with. I'm talking about into the JG Meering High School, Cape Town, Nale Primrose Primary School, principals are being shot at kids. And I was thinking, why is the department not coming up with strategies that would not allow such actions to be taken? Gabantu abafunda abancane, and on top of that, the protection from the teachers, then kids to the teachers as well. So we are one cause again, why this report is being reported, and I don't have much to say because Dibambe Msileni, and yes, and then moreover, my question would be like programs as the late, like Oyizo and all that, where they were being demonized by parents, especially Black parents, but zero now it shows that all that the movies were prophetic in a way, because what was happening in those movies, it is what is happening today in our schools. So yeah, I thought that the report would be dealing with everything like that, Chair, and because I thought that maybe the department would be seeing a need to to use those spaces to come up with programs that would encourage respect for teachers to children and then children to teachers as well. So yes, yeah. Otherwise, ndiyabulela, Chair. Ndimamele, ndiyabulela.
No, thank you very much. So Sposh, is there anything that you would want to clarify?
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. Let me try quickly, Chair. Honorable members, thank you very much for the questions, the clarification, the inputs. They are making us to move things in the right direction, where we do not put things in the correct context. And I'd like to really appreciate and thank you for that. Of the first question raised by Honorable Nodada, may I humbly state that when we highlighted the issue of the process, how we've come up with this strat plan, the strat plan, honorable members, in our view and the APP, is this kind of document which had to plot a direction, the what, the where, and the how, where the committee is going, what the committee is doing, and for the achievement of the vision of Parliament, for the achievement of the national development goals, etc. That's the first response I'll put there. Therefore, how we have also dealt in terms of the process of this strat plan was retrospectively reflecting backwards and also looking forward, so as we track also the accomplishments, some which were also made in the 4th, 5th Parliament. That's fine. Also looking at the highlights and the challenges that are being presented, and also what has been done as mitigations to respond to that. Honorable Nodada, if I may refer you to page 9 of the 2023-24 APP. That page, Honorable Nodada, addresses the issue of Latrines that you mentioned, and I'd like to highlight it as follows. It reads as follows, page 9. We highlighted that the situation analysis, it says, South Africa has made significant progress in education over the past 2 decades. When we say 2 decades, we are looking backwards. What was done with 99% of 7 to 15 years old attending educational institutions in 2014, as compared to the 96% in 2002. Now, when you say 2014 to 2024, or 2002, you are retrospectively looking backwards to look at also shaping things in the forward direction. Now, when it comes to Latrines, the document says strategies now to address the out-of-school children, such as using the learner unit record information tracking system, that is Latrines, are needed. This APP has highlighted that Latrines is needed as a strategy to track these learners. And also, it also says there should be ensurement that 15% of children, there's an improvement of the retention strategies, which remains a challenge. We did not hide it. It was highlighted, it was put up there. On the aspect of the annual report, honorable members, why we say progress has been made, look at the presentation that Honorable Chair has started with, particularly page 2, on oversight and accountability, which is the work of this committee. The report says, for DBE in particular, and this information doesn't come from us, we extracted it from the AXA report. The department spent 99% on the budget and the target achieved were 90%. SAIS had spent 100% on their budget, the target achieved were 90%. Umalusi spent 100%, targets achieved 100%. Now, if you look back and reflect, before 2019, 2021, 2022, how did the department and the entities perform in reflection to what AXA had highlighted? This page 2, therefore, honorable members, for me, highlights the fact that over the last 2 decades, commendable progress has been made in the education system, because these figures, we did not thumbsuck them, we took them from AXA as well as the BRRR report as presented by the DBE and the 2 entities. Honorable Adons, on the issue of the NSC results, I think we thank you for the input, but I don't think I have any answer on that one. And then Honorable Madlingozi, the annual report, Honorable Madlingozi, highlighted 2023 from January to December. Some of the things that have happened thereafter would then be catered for in the annual report of 2024-25. And I hope that this clarifies. The same thing when we're going to look at the strat plan of 2024-25. It says, look at the SONA, look at the department priorities, look at the NDP, look at the SDG, look at the entities' plans as well, in order to frame what needs to happen, what the work of the committee was over the last 5 years, projecting to the 7th Parliament. Any outstanding work that this portfolio committee did not do will be encapsulated in the committee's legacy report that also the chairperson has highlighted. So where we're falling short of information, we agree, honorable members, some of it will be shared and factored in the legacy report. I hope, Chair, I have tried to respond where I could. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. I think it is clarified to all members. Members, can we then adopt the strat plan? Honorable Adonis.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I do move to adopt the strat plan as presented with inputs.
Thank you so much. Honorable Morane.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to second what Honorable Adons has just adopted on our strat plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, we are making work easy for those that will take from us. Next time, we are left now with the legacy report, which I think we're gonna deal with in a week or two. You want to say something, Lizzie?
Yeah, myself and not that we also wanted to record that we are seconding the report.
It's only Lizzie, Chair. Don't involve me. He's not part of the multi-party.
It's third and fourth. Okay. No, that is noted. That is noted. All right. And then members, like I've said, we couldn't have the meeting on the ECD. So I'm proposing next week that we deal with the SONA implications together with that update on the ECD, 2 presentations. They are both going to be done by DBE. So it's going to be DBE presentations next week, both of them. And then that week, I think we will be doing something on the on the commission. Human Rights Commission on that other week. So I'm proposing that we do the SONA implications and then we clap it together with the ECD, the one that we were supposed to do last week. The migration update. Agreed?
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you so much. In that order, we are then done with the meeting of today. And we wish the ANC best now on its manifesto launch weekend on Saturday, on the 24th.
Ouch, you're not talking about the blue umbrellas. Ouch, and now be fair, man.
I get it. Those ones, they went to union buildings with about 1,800 people. So we will show them what is we will show them what it is to have people in
Hey, you must make sure that you give people umbrellas.
That is the truth. That is the truth. They were about 1.8.
1.8.
1,800 people.
1.8.
They were
And then you tell us that is manifesto launch. Man, come on.
It was 1,100.
In an election year.
All the best. Nithanda ningathanda nibuyi.
Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.
Nizasibona. Ingazi nge-umbrella ezi-1.8.
No. Not that.
Recording stop.
With 800 umbrellas there.
In this all-important weekend that we are going to, we will demonstrate that we are.
Not that.
We're going to paint Durban black, green, and gold.
No, please watch out. You're coming to Durban.
We are coming, Mapoloba. We are there. At your backyard. We are exactly at your backyard.
I will be ready to welcome you.
You must slaughter imbuzi for principal.
Watch out.
Mapoloba.
Hello. Yes.
Hey man, why ungavuli case? I-DA tikudubula inyanga la when you are told. Mapoloba.
Not even listening. I didn't hear that.
Together.
I was not listening. I saw some clip, very poor clip.
It doesn't make sense. What is Tubulinyanga now? What is that? Are they fighting with IFP?
No, they're fighting IFP.
Yeah,
They are most on a what? They're on a moon peg. What is this thing of theirs?
That moon flop. We call it moon flop. It's going to flop.
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow. Chairman, we must have a photo shoot of our Choman. Of our PC. We don't have a picture of all of us.
I agree with.
We must agree
yes,
on it. Honorable Boshoff, please don't forget to watch TV on Saturday and see serious numbers.
Millions of people.
Yeah.